say the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but it's the color of one's skin and the beauty of one's eye. So many of us talk about dark skin, light skin, what is and what ain't within, but we overlook it all for the booty. You see, the physical has no bearing on the elegance and grace of the spiritual and mental one that's inside you, that creates the only one of you that it takes millions to make. I'm talking black and light, not white, the substance of nothingness, a blank page of anger and rage, giving you the belief of death, not rest. Life is a cipher, a circle that never ends, passing by trends and fads of trends, only to come black again. Justice and freedom. None of that is possible without unity. The you and I self, transit of you, the inner scope of self-love and hate. Travel away from the lies on the surface to keep from the unjust or ingesting their truth of their perception. The gods and goddesses are in we trust. Everything you hear, smell, and see is creator he. Everything you feel, learn, and touch is creation she. Does that make us gods as we go on debating the source of the we and the he and she? I am that I am. The truth is something found in what others want you to see and believe. Live to be real. Reality. Believe.
Good morning, good afternoon. Shout out to everybody out there checking us out live. We are live on Black Conscious Voices. I got my main man, Mike Cypher in the building. I got the brother ATL Web Sales Greg in the building. We got a nice forum this morning, gentlemen. I'm definitely blessed to be here with you gentlemen again. Here on another beautiful Sunday. I'm going to tell you guys the truth, man, here with the weather we experienced yesterday in Atlanta, man, with snow and sun and rain all on the same day, man. I'm thankful that we got a bright, beautiful day before us, man, and an opportunity to come before all of you there live out there in ATL Web Radioville. We last week we left off on changing the narrative and the matrix and we began offering some conscious thought pattern toward what's going on with, behind the scenes. And this week, man, we back to give them a little more and, maybe go in a different direction. We'll see where the conversation takes us. What's going on with you, Brother Mike?
Oh, brother, peace and blessings, man. How you doing today?
Beautifully blessed, brother.
No doubt,
Yes,
no
sir.
doubt.
Yes, sir.
Every day's a new experience, brother. I dwell in the ideology of with every beat of my heart and with every breath that my lungs have the ability to take is a beautiful day. It's
Absolutely.
a beautiful thing. So
Absolutely.
we try to just take our steps the way they've been laid out for us, the way we see the path, and just try to keep moving, man. Try to take try to take no off paths or be led astray through the struggles of what we go through every day, having people try to pull us off our stance and off our square, and try to keep the love and the respect and the unity or the unification of one's mind, eye, and myself, man, and keep moving.
Absolutely, absolutely, brother. The people have that's watched Black Conscious Voices for years here at ATL Web Radio, Inworks Radio. They know who you are, Mike. Everybody knows, man, that you was a staunch brother. You got your ideals are 100% thorough, man, and that's something I love. I love to work with you on this project every time we get a chance.
No doubt,
but we got us a new mate, man, on the forum today, Brother Greg.
That's what's happening.
Man, go and give us just tell people a little bit about yourself, man. Give us a little introduction, man. Not too much because they're gonna get to see us we talk, but just give them a little base.
Not sure where do I start. Okay, this is new for me.
Absolutely.
But I like the forum. I like the subject. I especially like the subject because it's something that I understand that. Well, for me, I don't feel comfortable talking to everyone about things that I can share, things that I've learned, things that I've seen.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I'm excited about being able to, if not, plant seeds, if nothing else. Okay,
Absolutely.
Plant seeds because I haven't always been where I am. It's been a process, and it's going to be the same for others. But more of us every day, all the time, are waking up, and that's what's exciting about today. What we're trying to do here is plant some seeds, if nothing else.
Okay.
Have that mind, of be introduced, if we don't understand already, that necessary process of critical thinking.
Absolutely.
About things that we took for granted.
Do me a
for
favor,
so
Brother
long.
Greg. Slide just a little closer to that mic, man. This is some good stuff, and people need to be able to hear it, brother. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good.
But not to
Yeah.
cut you off.
No, yeah, that's where I am.
Absolutely. It's a blessing to have you, brother.
I appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. So what you see before you, concern brothers, we actually are probably close to right around 10 years apart, heading up the ladder. So we've all seen different depths of change and as well realization along with understanding. And we're here to relay to you guys exactly how we see things. And, and like Greg said, if nothing else, man, plant some seeds to help others to kind of see a little more clearer. And then, of course, brothers that out there are clearly watching the picture, we definitely invite you to be able to not only build with the knowledge that we're speaking on, but as well to chime in because each one teach one. That's what the cipher is all about. Everybody being able to grasp the plan in order for us to continue on, because that's what it's really all about. Us continuing on and in a manner that is respectful to ourselves and our youth. well as our seniors, to carry ourselves in a proper manner. So, man, we've had a long week, a lot of news this week. Last week we went in, we talked about brother Kobe Bryant passing away in a horrific manner that it took place. And here just last week in the media, Sister Gail King has been going through an enormous amount of fire based on questions she asked in an interview pertaining to Kobe's death. And she kind of went outside the box and asked about questions that related to the brother's extramarital situations. And the whole country just felt like the timing was just so off, and they're really beating the sister up right now about it. And I'd like to know what you guys' thoughts on the whole situation is before I share mine. But what do you guys think about the position the sister's in, and what she's represented to our community as a whole up until this point, and what do you think this backlash? What do you think? How far do you guys think it's going to go?
Well, brother, first of all, I didn't hear what went down, what was said, so I'm speculating only from the ideology of, how things flow.
Right.
The system has a predicated amount of motion in as far as where it wants to take things, and the visualization and the seeds, as the brother said earlier, that are planted in our minds. So with that, I can only imagine that she probably said some things or asked some questions that really had no bearing on the issue of this brother's and his daughter's life, and that it was to push something, another agenda or another something to give us the ideology or the narrative of look at the symbolization of this so-called iconic black figure. So with that, brother, I'm gonna kind of leave it right there until I can actually get some more information and kind of delve into actually what she was saying.
Okay, wow, geez. I saw that question on the internet a day or so ago, and I tried to stay away from even paying any attention too real much on the Colby something, simply because I never really was a Colby fan or even against him. I just wasn't a fan. But you know what? I've stayed away from the news pertaining to it because it hurt me to be reminded of that he passed and passed the way that he did. That hurt. I don't want to be reminded of it any more than I have to. Later, after I've been able to process it, because no, I didn't want to see it happen. Didn't want to see that happen, and I don't like that. Anyway, but at the same time, the fact that she said whatever she did, because I'm not sure altogether what she said, there's a Don King effect that I think people take advantage of. And it's not so much that they are wherever they are. I'm not even saying that was the case, but people many times take on that Don King effect, and that's an effect that, whether it's your dress or something you said or something you did, it attracts and gets attention. And one thing about life that I've realized is that if nobody's talking about you, you're not doing anything.
Right.
And so that allowed her to be in the limelight, and that means bucks. Some kind of way it can equate if they're able to turn that into dollars. So, and it's just one way of looking at it. But yeah, it's a touchy subject for me right now because, like I said, not being a Kobe Bryant fan, I didn't like it. It hurts that it happened.
Absolutely. The other really big news this last week, I know both of you gentlemen probably not going to want to chime in too heavily on it, but our great president was acquitted from his impeachment, and it's really crazy to me how people's minds can be set in a certain direction because you know well they tried him and he wasn't guilty. They acquitted him. And I've actually seen like this is really changing people's minds on this guy. And I'm saying, wow, he told the world, exactly, what he was going to do, who he was, and he executed it, and everybody's actually like falling. I'm seeing people actually change their thought. I know I'm not saying people that in my book, and don't get me wrong in the way I say this, people actually matter, but they're actually I'm seeing a large I'm seeing news lines starting to change, and I know all of that can be manipulated and affected, but at the end of the day, these are the same very news lines that were just attacking to the heaviest degree because of this fake trial they just gave it. And because of the fake, the fakeness and the decision, the way it was handed down based on information that was passed along, it comes out that you still for me it's hard not to still look at well, why did everybody that worked with this guy go to prison? It's like none of those questions are being asked. He was cleared. And it's just like America is so blinded with ignorance. I mean, it was worked. It was in years ago, years and years and years ago. It was put out that we as a people, are we as a people, certain things could be done, and we could be completely confused. It would set about mass confusion, and just looking at the way things are working at this certain time, at this current time, and I've said it in the past, but now even more so than ever, I just feel truly like, man, this world is in mass confusion. Like it's so much misunderstanding. Not to say that I know everything. I don't know anything. But I can see so much confusion at this point, man. It's alarming. It's at alarming rates, and I don't know, brothers. I'm just, what are y'all? What are you guys? Any thoughts on the whole, the barrage that is being placed before us at this point, man?
Well, brother, it's a perfect segue into the topic that of this week and last week, because anybody who actually is paying attention, even if you're really not so much paying attention, but if you know the history of the system that we're in, then you know that its it its actions speak louder than its words, which that's with most anything. But for them to sit up now, if you think back, before he ran, before he actually ran for president, they pretty much was telling you that he was going to be impeached. Before he ran, and they told you that he was going to be impeached. A few years before that, they told you that he was going to be president. If you just pay attention to the media's and the things that, to some degree, that they want you to pay attention to. Now, I'm saying that not to allude to the fact or thought that you don't keep your eyes and your ears, your nose, all your senses sharp. But what I'm actually trying to convey is when you have such control over the minds of the masses by programming them with sigils of listening and seeing, then how much do you really have the ability to believe or not believe? if I can put into your mind and your eye that we're going to make a lizard the president of the United States, and you're going to love it, and you're going to prosper because this lizard is going to make money, make rocks out of money. Since you worship money so much, we're going to turn rocks to money. How many of y'all would really be able to tear yourself away from the reality and say, why? First of all, what's the possibilities of it? Second of all, and is this something that we really need in our lives? Third of all, I say that from the aspect of, you know, we run around and our worships are this dollar bill. This is really who God is to those who chase this dollar bill. The most expensive thing that you have is yourself. The thing that you pay the most of out of pocket, out of your life, it's a layer being stripped from you every day that you focus and you pay your attention to something that has no bearing on you bearing fruit and being prosperous. Add what you want, take what you want. But that's just to simply say, be careful about what you let inside you.
Interesting. That's interesting. Um, Rev, you touched on something there, Brother Mike. I read something yesterday. It said, whatever you pay attention to, you buy. Um, and that's from the very beginnings that Trump has been in the limelight as far as politics is concerned, or running for and becoming president. I've tried to, and for the most part, pay absolutely no attention because I knew who he was, how he is. And I didn't, like most of us, like everyone else, no one thought that he was actually going to be president. Nobody believed that. When it happened, and with it happening, and then at the same time, the things that have happened since, this is out there stuff. And then for him to be impeached, and then escape that, what's really going on?
Well, you know, brother, I'm a firm thought that, like I said, we have to get into a position where the things that we see, we internalize to the point where we can, those of us who have some type of energy and thought, energy in life, energy in the realization of being, can see and smell and texturalize, if that's a word, what we take into our systems. Okay, so when they put out there in the mainstream, okay, Donald Trump is going to be president. Okay, this is 4 years prior, 2-3 years prior to it actually going down. Okay, they put this on The Simpsons. They put this on any other little thing that we may think that we're not actually adhering our attention to. But when we hear it over and over again, even if it's at the slightest, say not like every 5-minute, 30-second commercial, but we hear it once here and then a couple of years in a significant state of being, we hear it again, and then maybe 6 months or 8 months later, we hear it again. That's only 3 times, but it's stuck in our system in such a way that when it actually comes to pass, we already ready and used to it because we've already been programmed
because of the programming.
Right.
The program that has been done over a period of time. And that's why you hear talk about news and how fake it is.
Mm-hmm.
that's been going on for, it's not just news, it's actually the TV shows that are actually programs. Well, if they're called programs, hello, it's called programming. We like to think that everything that we think and feel and talk about are things that the ways that we feel. No, it's what you have been programmed to think and feel. Um, and our community, if I may say, um, 95% of what we have read, hello, was written by them. So we, for the most part, know nothing about ourselves. That's ugly. That's not a pretty picture. Um, and when you consider that television is doing nothing more than promoting not us, it's promoting them. You're being programmed. We've all been, but that's why, for the most part, I don't watch TV. I don't watch news, but I choose what I can listen to or that I want to listen to, and most of it is not garbage.
Brother Jamal and Brother Greg, how crazy is it that, like you just stated, the things that we read, the things that we intake, you know, are usually from someone that doesn't have our best interest at heart. Okay, now think back, think back if you know if it's a possibility too, when the things that we would read would be the trees, the stars, the oceans, the animals. These are the things that we would read. The land. These are the things that we would read and we would take energy and onus of by way of being programmed in how to function in the elements in those systems of life that we were in so encrusted in, and every day was work. Every day was a totally new day because it was a new reading that we had to partake of or learn or be able to function our way through.
If I might say, if I may say, Michael, in other words, another way, a way of compartmentalizing that, we are an organic people. Um, yes, we the that's with everything that we lived, we breathed, we ate. Um, we're an organic people. That's what we want to need to get back to.
Absolutely.
I think that it's. I think the way you pose that is is really deep when you think about it because um, me and Greg were just speaking. I think Friday about the fact that we get all these books and all this information. The stuff that comes to us by hand. Prior to at least, and especially prior to the technology age, when it comes to the internet and so forth. And we, because we're reading this and we're where we're at, we would, I guess the word would be, would adapt to feeling like this is for us. And in so many different, in so many, so many different aspects of it. It wasn't written by us, and it was definitely never written for us in a positive light. The majority of the stuff that we paid attention or were given to understand as being what's right, was something handed to us by that we didn't write, and it made no sense for us, But I think that's part of how we get back to what I was just speaking about. And that's why this is all a circle. Confusion. And that is another one of the main things that leads to, one of the tools that helps guarantee a confused individual, a confused patriarch, male, black father, and as well, in this very same day and time, that black mother. And we know if they're confused, then their offspring is going to be equally as confused.
How about that?
So, I mean, and that was the drawn picture from the onset of really giving the black man a slaved or an enslaved mentality, even beyond slavery. So now, again, it's the programming, everything everything is being geared now to have you be happy and be satisfied with the time and
Just keep going.
yeah, and that's even more so with this media. You guys can do this and you guys can do that, and you're really free. And
Until you Kobe. Until you Kobe, and you got some things that you don't want to represent no more, or you got enough money to change your own narrative,
and
then it becomes a problem.
and what's crazy is that now in like my lifetime, I'm the younger of the three of us. I'll be 45 in April, but in my lifetime now, I've seen so many black people that like had money to do whatever they wanted to do, and put money into all types of different situations, but their inner being kept them from being able to not be not speak about the things that were going on. And because these people had platforms and opportunity, I've seen several people stricken at this point in just my lifetime. And then I know you brothers can reflect and date back, because at the time when some of the other brothers was being stricken, it was a much more serious time. Now, again, everything is happy go lucky. You get high, get you a woman and sit back somewhere and chill, and let everything else just go by. You don't worry about utilizing your mind and building your infrastructure, your temple. Don't worry about keeping that in place. We're gonna give you all of this good stuff to make you forget about what we're really doing to you,
And what we got you
so
doing
that you
to
really,
yourself.
so you really can't see this knife that we shoving, dead into your back, and it's again, if you don't have a really, really strong mind right now, people are doing a lot of crazy things. You have to have enough sense to continue on in a manner that's going to allow you to build up and not tear down. But I think, like what you were just saying, Mike, they're confusing what building up and what tearing down is. So it's again looking like one thing is something that's really good for you is not good for you, and something that's really bad for you. They're making it look like it's the greatest thing going.
Evil fair seeming.
Yeah,
Let me, not to cut you off,
Yeah,
brother,
brother.
but let's look at it from this aspect, okay? Go back centuries, go back eons, okay? And kind of look for the modern opposite effect, okay? Eons ago, there was almost a library every 400-500 square feet. There was a library, almost 1 to 2 libraries for every block per capita. Okay, hundreds and hundreds of literary givings on structures of how to become you. Okay, fast forward, triple. How many libraries do you see in your community now? As opposed to liquor stores and gun shops and grocery stores, for that matter. Okay?
Yeah.
Those teachings, go back, rewind, back to the past. Those teachings then had everything to do with controlling your narrative by paying attention or studying yourself to know thyself. Conquerors came in, destroyed almost every library that there was. Now, the ones that they didn't destroy had information that they deemed was the most important to them. They robbed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of scrolls and teachings from just these few libraries, took it into their systems in order to control the narrative. Okay, now, my point to that is this. As you fast forward backward and forward between this commentary in time, if they got what they got from just a few libraries, destroyed millions and millions of scrolls in those other, say, 3,000 libraries, what do you think we're missing from ourselves that they are controlling the narrative on? Why do you think that we have nowadays all these liquor stores, all these pawn shops, all these gun shops, all these grocery stores? It's the biggest killer in our neighborhoods. Go to their neighborhoods, see if they have the same thing. Paying attention to somebody else's way of thinking for you is not the same as thinking for yourself. We have to really recover, and get to a point where the narrative that we pay attention and we focus on, the programming that we pay attention and focus on, is ATL Web Radio. Programs like that, Sister Adama in her seminars. You know, we have to put ourselves into a position of totally stripping ourselves back down from being built into what we were built in over the last 3,000 years or so.
Well, you got me there. And of course, libraries. What's good about today is that the playing field has been leveled, and
You think?
in a matter, and
Information-wise, I think
and of course, what we're talking about is perspective.
it's leveling.
In a matter of speaking, of course, if it's not taken advantage of, it doesn't matter. And the reason I say that is because of the internet and the fact that at the press of a button, you can access information and that's why, in a matter of speaking, the playing field has been leveled.
Well, who controls that?
And of course,
information.
and of course, the only information that you can access is what is available, because actually, the internet, as we speak, information is being taken down off of the internet. But at the same time, there's still, at the press of a button, information that you can get that you can get and learn to be whatever you want to be. So that's in that respect, it's good. But at the same time, you still have to access the right information, not those kinds of shows or that kind of information that doesn't advance your momentum. That's what's important. Accessing the right kind of information that makes a difference in your life and the people around you.
And you know, brother, I have some agreements with that, but like I say, my trepidation comes from the fact of, like I say, for the most part, this topic is about changing the narrative, being in a spot where the mind tricks that are being played on us, we come lucent about in order to handle, come up out of, reprogram, rework, and become thyself. Now, true enough, the internet has its positives and negatives, just like most things. Everything But when you have, again, something or someone, an entity that doesn't really have your best interest at heart, controlling the information that you can or cannot have,
Right.
how can we really lay ourselves susceptible to being the only avenue of information? And I say that if you to digress a little bit back to what we used to read and what we used to study, the stars, the land, the grass, the animals. How many of us are really willing and ready and able to put that type of work in to find out who we are? Because until we get to the point where we can communicate back with those other intelligent beings of life and light, then how can we know the misery that's really coming towards us? Because, man, they kill billions of fish every day. They kill billions of cows every year. Every year. Chickens, pigs, all of this is life. All of this has an effect on the rotation. It all has an effect on the rotation. So now, what do you think you're really eating? What is it that you're really communicating with when it comes to self-effect? How many of our children, how many of us personally can look at the stars, get out of the city, look at the stars and know exactly how to go, where to go, and when to go, where we are needed most?
If I may say there, Mike, yeah, exactly. Something that I've been able to do, not extensively travel, but I've been a few places. And if it were up to me, I would make it mandatory that children, before they get out of elementary school, have traveled to another state, even if it's a field trip, for instance, because it's surprising the number of people in a city, in a community, especially in those kinds of communities, have children that have never been any place but in their neighborhood. They don't know that there's another world, and everyone isn't like the people that are in their neighborhood. It would be mandatory that they travel, have been someplace, and just that little something can open their horizons. It's important to travel. At the same time, it's important to come back and get back home.
And I agree wholeheartedly with that, brother. I agree wholeheartedly with that. And to add to that, I would say not only travel abroad, but take some time to travel inward. So as I'm speaking, take a minute when the weather's nice, when the weather's not so nice, because you're going to deal with all of those elements one way or another. Travel inward by stepping outside of the box, going on a camping trip, leaving everything behind, trying to and seek yourself and your ability to survive anything through what has already been given you in your functionality of being what you were created to be by what created you. I hope you hear me and understand what I'm trying to convey. Step outside your house. Sit on your lawn. Don't go back inside your house for 24 hours. Do whatever it takes for you to survive that 24 hours outside your house and see how far deep you get within yourself. These are the functionings that we are so far away from, that we are so easily controlled.
Brother, you guys have opened up some serious activity mentally for everybody, especially myself. I love just sitting here and listening and talking with you, brothers. Man, we're gonna give them a little break. We're gonna come back at them and talk a little more, brothers. I got something exciting that I definitely want to pass along and see what you guys' thoughts on coming into this next part of the conversation. So, for all of our listeners out there that are checking us out live, we're gonna take a brief breather, let everybody stretch their legs real quick, and we're going to be back at you with some more Black Conscious Voices right here with my main man, Mike Cypher, along with my main man Greg right here at atlwebradio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is my profound pleasure to introduce...
Yo, listen up.
Let's do it.
It's Black Conscious Voices on atlwebradio.com.
They say the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but it's the color of one's skin and the beauty of one's eye. So many of us talk about dark skin, light skin, what is and what ain't within, but we overlook it all for the booty. You see, the physical has no bearing on the elegance and grace of the spiritual and mental one that's inside you, that creates the only one of you that it takes millions to make. I'm talking black and light, not white, the substance of nothingness, a blank page of anger and rage, giving you the belief of death, not rest. Life is a cipher, a circle that never ends, passing by trends and fads of trends, only to come black again. Justice and freedom. None of that is possible without unity. The you and I self, transit of you. The inner scope of self-love and hate. Travel away from the lies on the surface to keep from the unjust or ingesting their truth of their perception. The gods and goddesses are in we trust. Everything you hear, smell, and see is creator he. Everything you feel, learn, and touch is creation she. Does that make us gods as we go on debating the source of the we and the he and she? I am that I am. The truth is something found in what others want you to see and believe. Live to be real. Reality. Believe.
It's Black Conscious Voices on atlwebradio.com.
Y'all, we back at you. Black Conscious Voices in the building. Yours truly, the Cyber DJ, the CK. Definitely killing them right here with the information that's being passed along, man. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And you know, while I'm a lot calmer than you guys used to seeing me on, let's say a Friday night heat, a Friday night fever, or a Saturday night heat, man. I do relate and live a life, man, that understands that a lot of things are changing again right before our very eyes, and we have to stay tuned in. We have to not only as well stay tuned in, we have to truly reach for the information, man, and once it's attained, it's about sharing. In order to, as the brother stated earlier, plant seeds, man, and that's what we are here today. We're here to share with you. We're here to hopefully enlighten some as well, and like I said before, man, reach some sharing from some others in return. I have two very astute brothers here with me today that. I love their energy and their spirits with all my heart. Brother Greg, Brother Mike. Me and Mike's been working doing this Black Conscious Voices show collectively for a little over 10 years now, man, and it's a beautiful thing, you know, to be able to be right here with the brother and be able to expound upon things that are happening right now. I know we actually just stepped out of the studio on a break, and brother that was outside, Brother Moonrock, man, he comes to the BLD Film Studio quite often. He had some things to share, man, and I really enjoyed the talk with that brother because he's enlightening as well. His thoughts, his words I think they're definitely something that. Is something that we as a people we can capitalize from and at least be aware of what's going on. So That was a good thing. But I wanted to get my two brothers here to today we've been talking about changing the narrative, and we've kind of went around and elaborated on some other things as well. But I want to get back to the subject of being changing the narrative, the matrix, or the absolution of us actually being changed by the narrative. And I think that again, all these things are very, very good conversation, and it changes the outlook on a lot of things that are that we see and that we understand. Um, but I know Mike had some stuff, some questions, man, that we actually opened up on last week's show, and I invited both of my brothers here to kind of open the door so we can get some viewpoints from the round table here. So, with that being said, Mike, I know you definitely got something for us, man. What you got, bro?
No doubt, brother. Brother, it's always a pleasure being in your presence, man. What, 10 some odd years, 12, 13 some odd years ago when we first met, and you opened the door to me being a part of this platform, has really affected me and changed my life in so many ways. It's not funny. Being a introvert, being a capsulized cat, there's very few people that I actually talk to.
Right.
Brother Greg asked me earlier, what are your friends called?
I said, I don't have any friends.
I don't have them, and that's just real talk.
Yeah.
So, that kind of gives you an insight to where I try to be when it comes to reality.
Absolutely.
It's not that I don't need interaction, but the interaction that that I try to partake of, knowing who I am to some degree, I try to make it as particular as the type of foods that I eat, because letting anything in my psyche can either be helpful or harmful.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to really be careful with the harm, knowing that I'm a fire. I'm fire. I'm a fire being, and that rage of discontent and negative vibrations really puts me on a spark or a charge of something that can be minute 1 second, but be engulfed in flames the next. So I have to really, really be in tune with those entities, such as yourself, brother, who allow my spirit to be what it could, should, and supposed to be for those examples that are visualizing my effect.
Absolutely.
But in saying that, in coming up with this topic, there was a few questions that I had, and the first show we did cover 2 of those questions. So I'm gonna kind of put these last 2 in one compartment and just see, how exploratory we can be. Like I say, for me, everything is comes from a self aspect, and that's positive, negative, up, down, sideways, however, because if I don't start with myself, then what I put out there is only fabricated.
Okay.
So here we go. What part does bloodline and natural existence, meaning humanity, play a part in our distinct desecration, destruction of creation in our community? What do we do to bring our actions to task in changing the narrative that's being created for us? Because there is definitely a particular narrative out there that's being put up on us. and it's being put up on us because of what's feared. We have so much fear of what fears us, being us, that we don't recognize what's actually being done to us. So those two questions, kind of in a nutshell or in a whole, kind of, keeps itself open to discussion.
Okay, let's see. If I may, okay. What part does a bloodline, race and natural existence, um, play a part in the distinct destruction of certain communities? The, you know what, that kind of alludes to the question or the question that I had. It almost takes me right to that narrative, as a matter of fact, and that question being, what is the narrative? And of course, that depends on who you're talking to. Depends on what day you're talking to, and when we look at it, when we think about it, darn it to have to say, darn it the fact that it is, but he who controls the printed page also controls the thinking of the age. That's not original, but it's a fact, and very few of us, control the narrative, because we don't own television stations, or some, but not enough. Not in terms as far as the numbers of us that are out here. We don't control any newspapers, write any newspapers, few magazines, but you know something? There are organizations that are supposed to be black organizations, for instance, that are actually owned or not owned by us, but we are the face of that organization, that means we don't control, again, the narrative. But what is the narrative? There again, like I said, it depends on who you're talking to and when. My thoughts on what the narrative is, geez, again, it's numerative in terms of what the narrative is. Mike, what would you say is? And then I don't mean to change the subject, but it fed right into that. Right. Do you have any thoughts on what the narrative is, or what are the narratives?
Well, Brother Greg, like I said, for me, trying to be in the mind state and the thought of actual cause and effect. Actions speak louder than words for a reason, because a thing that a person does 9 times out of 10 shows who that person is. So with that being said, to answer the portion of the question that you conveyed or asked, what is the narrative? Through the actions of this system and this society, and pretty much with what is related throughout the world, the narrative is death.
Oops.
The narrative is death. And we was talking, me and Brother Jamal, we was talking the other day, and last week when we did the show, and I posed the question, if science and mathematics is infinite, science and mathematics is the basis of existence, of life as we know it in all its realms, okay, then what is the use for death? What is the significance of death? If science and mathematics is infinite and life is based in science and mathematics, then why isn't life infinite as well? So that's why to answer your question in a degree, the narrative would have to be death, because everything that we can remember coming up as a teaching is, was, and now so much more. You live, you die. It's a fact. How is my question? How is that fact? Because our communities, you know, our bloodlines, um, anything that really has to do with anything comes from our communities, and they being taken over as to be portrayed as it is, as if it's not coming from us. It's always been their original thought and actions and reactions and causes and effects of being. Uh, how did Ebonics become part of a dictionary explanation? How did You Go Girl become part of every commercial narrative on TV? How does the clothes that are being worn, excuse me, from way back up until now is controlled by what the people are doing in our community?
I got one for you. Excuse me. I got one for you, Mike. I saw the other week. We can't go. I believe it was 48 or 72 hours without using something that we as a people made or created. That speaks volumes about who we are. But most of us don't know that because we weren't studied. Our history is a month. Come on, everyone knows better. Just like we know better, we should know better that this is not the year 2000. This is not the year 2000, right? Adam and Eve, if they ever existed, which I don't believe ever did, go back 7,000, but yet you have the pyramids in Africa that are 18,000 years old. Hello.
Yeah, so we have to really get to, and like I say, I'm not professing to be a professor of nothing, to know of nothing, anything other than what I've experienced and what I feel. It takes and sets precedences in our lives or in our being, the experiences that we invoke or the experiences that have been, planned or unplanned, however you want to put it, has been given to us. Mm-hmm. We exist and live off of those experiences, no matter how wild or how subdued and contained that they are. So with that, in my answer or portrayal of a thought, as far as what the narrative is, man, when you got a people killing themselves more than those who hate them most are killing them now, doing the job of your open and known enemy, and you act like you don't even care or even realize what you're doing to yourself with the destruction of this money, for this money, bruh. It's time to turn the TVs off. It's time to put the books away. It's time to, it's time to step on a new level of being, because until we are able, willing, and ready to work for 600 years for free for ourselves, without killing ourselves or being killed or raped or whatever, we put that type of work and psychological repair back into our creativity, ownership of being us. So ain't not one weapon that you can think of can mess with us.
Is touching on something that you alluded to there on as far as killing in our community. touchy subject because I'm surprised that in the media you'll hear someone touch on that black on black crime, and then at the same time the numbers are within a few percentage points of white on white crime. And it's because I'm surprised that those of us that shy away from that question or admit to that it's a fact that black on black crime is such an issue when the same numbers within a few percentage points are the same for Caucasian, for example. It's because most killings, murders happen within by people within their own community. They don't, as a rule, go to another community to do those kinds of crimes. So that's a false narrative that has been taught, preached, and it's not true.
I wanna piggyback off of where Brother Mike, the question Mike had. I look at the current picture. Let's just say of America. It's where we're at. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we have to. This is what we have to. This is what we know. So this is what we have that we can speak on, and it's what's in front of us right here today. At my age and at my growth and understanding, for a long time now, I have. Let's not say not wanted to bear witness to the past or our history, but wanted to give the youth something that they could. Our youth, our children, our grandchildren, right now are in their mind states are one that are because of the technology era that we are currently living in, is one that has produced a need for instant gratification. And for us to, we could wow our youth right now with all of the history and all of the hardships and all of the hate and all of the criminalistic, demonistic things that have been set upon us. But I personally think, and this is just my personal opinion, but I think that we're moving a major element from them in order to replace it with a more formidable element. I think will help to open would first help open the eyes, looking at where we're at now in order to help further develop where we're actually heading to. And that one factor is a factor that has, I think, been something long since, for quite some time now, been a blinder for, and I'm not going to say for simple people, but for people that kind of don't want to, I'll say lazy people that don't want to, and you know where I'm going, Mike. Religion. Religion is I feel like it's one of the biggest forms of propaganda because it has people to move and live in a certain manner, and in that it takes you out of looking at a much greater picture that leads back to the narrative of death that Brother Mike was just speaking on, and that is with religion. Religion allows you to see death in one way, and that is what brings about a fear of leaving the world in this frame that we've been given, and it forbids you from actually bear witnessing to the spirit life that all men, have before we enter this body, and I believe after the body succumbs. And I think that's the biggest portion of what needs to be changed at this point in time is what we're actually seeing, what we're actually teaching our youth. Because if we continue to teach them, that the religious platform, the religious barriers are real, and allow for them to grasp a hold of a religious platform, then that's exactly what they'll be. They'll continue to be controlled by the religious propaganda that comes about. But if we can get our youth to take mind and understand who they are spiritually, what their actual spirit, what their inner being is about, and to be able to not only see it, but as well be able to hone in on that special part of their own in order to be able to, stake a claim on building a better future for, our bloodlines. I also believe that in that same picture, that we also have to change how we're educating our youth. In this day and age, it's so many people that leave the responsibility to a school system that has no plan other than to teach, to teach, to be dependent upon a system that is not for them in the first place. And see, when that is the primary basis for understanding for our youth, we cannot be upset with the turnout if we're not installing truth and understanding into our children's lives, into their upbringing. So I think for me, those are the places where I think we gotta dedicate more attention to in order to truly change this narrative.
Let me interject here.
Yes,
for
sir.
A second,
Yes, sir.
A couple of points you hit on brings again for me more questions. When I get to the point where I can't ask why, then I know that I have either truly learned or that I am truly learning. What is the biggest? Okay, I've never been off the continent of America. Okay, a lot of us haven't. Some of us have. A lot of us have. But even in my meager travels, and in some of my studies, if you look across the board, across the world, who's the biggest target? Who's the biggest target? 9 times out of 10 is black men. 9 times out of 10 is the biggest target. The only other bigger target than black men, quiet as it's kept, is black women. Okay, so with the creator and creation of life being the bigger targets across the board than anything or anybody in this system, okay, where do you think our existence lies? Okay, for two, speaking about our youth and the teaching and the systems of teaching and being taught. Mm-hmm. With us being the bigger targets, who do you think they really coming after? Because if you kill the head, the body must fall. Mm-hmm. So if you take away the mother and the father principle, or the creator and creation principle, then there are no children to be had. Mm-hmm. So we teach the ones that are already here to be susceptible, to be controlled, to be march worthy. When it's time to go to the incinerators, line up. We'll get you to the incinerators, safe and sound. Okay. Where does our future really lie? Okay, they killing the parents, the parents of life, okay, of humanity. They killing the children of humanity, miseducating the children of humanity, making it a law that they have to partake of this so-called education or miseducation. That if you don't put them in these systems, then you have a problem with being caught up in the system yourself. Okay? And to take it even a step further. Now, how do you, to get back to one of the questions, how do we put ourselves in a stance to where we recognize our existence, and recognize where we are as far as our bloodlines, our races, our natural existences, and realize what's being done to us? What do we do from here? How do we begin to change the narrative? How do we begin to change our actions one at a time, person to person, man to man, woman to woman, to flip the script in becoming able to create, not change, our own narrative? Because the problem to me, one of the biggest problems to me, is that we look to live within a system or a structure that has no bearing on our welfare. We're not challenged enough. We're not challenging ourselves enough to create our own system. That's what truly brings about change. You can't change a devil into a god and he not be a devil. It's just what side of the coin you want to look at. So when you thanking God, make sure you pull that dollar bill out when you say that. Because in my aspect of thinking, my aspect of experiences, if you look at anybody who's supposed to be the Kobe's, the Jordans, the Jacksons, the whatever, and they up there and they in your face of attention, and the words out of their mouth after they win or whatever is, first and foremost, I like to thank God. Who are you really thanking? And would you be thanking the God without that money in your pocket and in your hand?
Hey, if I may, what do we do? What can we do to make a difference? You know, a big part of making a difference is going to be, it has to do with the dollar, and even the nickels and dimes spent in our community instead of elsewhere.
And not to cut you off, brother, but why? Why is it that it's the dollars that's going to make the difference? I mean, we all have to exist. I understand that, but we're not talking about existing no more. We're talking about being.
And of course, that's just that I spoke is just a snippet of what makes a difference. Sure, it goes also to how we're educating ourselves, how we're educating our people, but then remember, our communities are like they are because we now here in more recent years we were able to go to their community to buy, and that's where our communities suffered totally and completely, and the monies that were spent. So now there are Caucasians that have always been able to live on two incomes, theirs and ours. And no, we can't spend every dime, every dollar in our community because it's not there. But we can make a difference. If all of us, if a lot of us, if only 10% of us spend more money, $10 more, if half of our community spends $10 more in our community than theirs a week, a month, you're still talking millions, if not billions of dollars, because as a whole, in terms of numbers, for black people, we have a spending that is in the 8th or 9th largest community or group of people in the world. But because we're spending our monies elsewhere, we don't look like that.
I have a quick question. something interesting to pose to both of you brothers, because I think this is where the conversation is going. And I know you got some input on what Greg said, but how, as a people, do we continue on if there is no money? I think, and I pose that question because I believe that's how we get to a position of true power.
How about that?
Because if we can eliminate money being an issue, what else is there? What else are we really made of? And again, removing the money from the equation. You know, if I want to eat and Brother Greg has a farm and Brother Mike is a chef and I have a family, my family does auto repair. My family does carpentry. So now, without any money, we help each other survive. We lift each other up, and we don't have this great divider, one that has caused us to do every wrong that we can imagine to ourselves and one another.
Hustling backwards.
I think that right there is what, I think that, just putting that into some mind space and thinking about how a world, or even, you know, as something as small as on the immediate basis of community, can actually survive and even more so thrive without a dollar bill, without a currency.
First to digress just a little bit to what Brother Greg was speaking about, and I'll bring it back in and try to tie it all in.
Okay.
Having those businesses, spending that $10 more in our community than other ones' communities will definitely, to some degree, make a difference, but it won't cut the head off the bull. The problem with that is that 9 times out of 10, the businesses that we create in our own community are barbershops, hair salons. They're not corporations. They're not worldly figures of commerce. They're community-based entities of commerce, which only get you community money. When we speaking on behalf of getting to a presence of being what we were, or being the world that we are, then we have to look at, from a different structure when it comes to dealing with the monies that we actually spend. We are the number one consumers on this earth. The things that we consume, we tend to build basis on when it comes to business structures in our community. So until we change our mind state of what is consumable or what is needed, or basically that, what is needed, not what is wanted or desired, but what is needed for our existence, then we can better suit ourselves to becoming the beings by producing the businesses, the community aspect of teaching, behaving. All of those things run a gambit.
That's right.
When you execute real true businesses. I mean, something that will build generations. A liquor store is not going to build a generation, not ours. A gun shop, a church, a grocery store is not going to build generations, not ours. So we have to get into the real business of commerce, not money, in order to direct ourselves in a better way of organizing ourselves to handle things on a bigger scale when it comes to money or business or commerce. Now, to bring that up to what Brother Jamal is speaking on and asking, I believe, and I know that he knows because we've had these conversations, but I feel and really have set into structure of thought how do we build our communities? How do we get to a point where we actually control the effect of us and not somebody else controlling the effect of us? One of it is basically get rid of the money. We got to get off their money just like we have to get off their drugs. That is dope, no matter what. And not dope in a positive connotation. That is what keeps us suckling and leeching and parasitically fasting ourselves or adhering ourselves to a system that has no good for us or no benefit for us. So what I think that we need to do, we need to get to a spot in a situation to where, going back to what you were alluding to, barterism, and to a point where when our communities were thriving before they dropped the first air raid on Oklahoma and Black Wall Street, before they killed our thriving communities wherever they were, whether it was in Mississippi, Harlem, no matter where it was, we had our own communities before we decided we wanted to march and fight to be integrated. Okay? So in order to get to that point, we got to create a structure of like-minded people that know how to handle commerce. Commerce, because what we don't realize is that we are the money. That paper ain't nothing but fire kindling. We are the money. Check your Social Security. Check your birth certificate and see if them bank accounts that those numbers allude to ain't filled with money. We are the money, so therefore we have to put ourselves in a situation to where we respond and react to ourselves, to where we are working to some degree for our communities for free for 600 years, as I alluded to earlier. And I don't really want to open this up or get too deep into it, but it's possible. And really, like I say, it's hard for me to hold back. But in a blank nutshell, once we get to a point of being able to barter with one another, which means having love for one another, which means having an inner scope and an inner sight of who we are actually as beings in the systems that we are in. And I can walk up to you and say, your brother Jamal, I need 2 cars. I can feed your family for 6 months for the price of a car. And brother Jamal's like, okay, you'll have them tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, well, you'll have your first installment because I'm not serving you anything but good energy, organic product that's going to flow through your system and let you be what you were created to be.
Absolutely.
So we're going to do this with the food as fresh as possible in installments that feeds not only your body but your mind, your spirit, and your soul. Okay? So when we get to a point where we can do that, and then I can go to Brother Greg and say, hey, well, Brother Jamal is giving me 2 cars for this functionality of nurturing his family. Come to find out, I only need 1 car, but I also need a barn built so I can house the animals that help neutralize and fertilize and do whatever they supposed to do to the land that I'm bringing these fruits and vegetables up on, so I can feed my community. And I say, so I give you 1 of these cars if you can help build me a barn, or build me a barn. And Brother Greg says, okay, brother, but in that, I'm going to need a car, but I'm going to need about 2 months of food too. Okay, brother, well, when can you start? It's the only question that's left. Okay, structures like this have to be put in place. Mentalities like this have to be put in place to where we're not looking from the aspect of what I got and what you don't got, which is a state of attention. and we pay that more. We come out of our spirit and our soul with more in abundance, more attention than we spend in a month's time. Every day. We pay more in attention every day than we do in money in a month's time. So we have to get to a point where we realize and we move in the functionality of loving thyself, knowing thyself. Because if you don't, when you don't, look at where we at. Look at what we have to deal with every day. Look at the questions we even have to ask ourselves. Some of these shouldn't have to even be asked.
Interesting. Aren't a lot of what is you guys were speaking of is the barter system is good and great and certainly works, but right now, I mean, and that can work with two businesses that can trade services for products or services for services. But for the person out there that doesn't works a 9 to 5, and even for the businesses, and some businesses even today do that. But for the most part, we're talking hypothetical. It's not something that is going to be implemented today or tomorrow. That's more like something when everything breaks down, which with the economy, for instance, goes bust, and there is no money, or money has gone bust, because actually, if you're somewhat woke, you know that the dollar has absolutely no value anyway.
And that's my point, brother. Why is it that we have to wait until then? Why do we have to wait till the sails are off the ship and the ship is sinking before we implement something that we know works? Because this is not new. This is not new in our lives. This is not new in our system. This is something that has been hidden from us by the misnomers, by the miseducation, by implementing systems on our brains to say, you need this piece of paper. When all I need is the knowledge of myself and the love of myself to love those who are like me enough to say, you need to be taken care of just like I need to be taken care of. Let's implement love, and let's pay with love. Let's pay with the aspect of knowing thyself, which knows who I'm encountering. To know that whether or not you can handle this system or whether you would rather be in that system. Because money has no value. China will tell you that. Money has no value. That's why the last 10 years, they've been killing us off like cattle and eating us and drinking our blood and everything else that they do to cattle. Because we have a certain place that they want to keep us. We have to get within ourselves and get outside of this box. I wonder what life would be outside this box. Is there real life for free outside of this box? I think it is.
We have a special call in. I put it inside of the shows. I put it inside of the shows. Text advertisement that we had a special call today coming from Black Heat. I know you had the opportunity to hear a little bit of what's going on here, man. We're live on atlwebradio, Black Heat's Voices.
Yeah, I just wanted to expound on what the brother was already speaking on. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to us as a people, and when we gonna move forward, when we start to understand, you know what I'm saying? When we understand ourselves and know who we are, it's going to be easier for us to want for our brother, our sister, the same thing. We have lost community. We have lost the communing with each other, and we don't care for each other like, you know what I'm saying, we did back in the 60s. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, we got the Black Panthers and all of them in the 60s, and I guess niggas got scared and they don't want to come together no more. You see what I'm saying? But those was examples for us to follow. All of them was examples. Martin Luther King and his house nigga ass was still an example of we still need them because they contribute to the progression of black people as a whole. Each one of them is like a different, I say all them different organizations are different organs that contribute to the total development of black people, and all of them got to work together, and all of us have to work together. We don't need to be still divided, Hebrew Israelites, Muslims, Christians, you know what I'm saying, whatever the fuck we want to call ourselves, you know what I'm saying, we don't need to be divided in the core, because anywhere it goes, these crackers is knocking us off, you know what I'm saying, all they see is a nigga. You know what I'm saying? They ain't asking if Trayvon Martin is a Muslim, a Hebrew, a Christian, or anything. They see a nigga and they knocking his ass off. So anywhere it goes, we need to see that same common denominator within ourselves, and we need to come together. And each one of these organizations we need to respect and let Martin Luther King do what he do. Let Malcolm, you know what I'm saying, wake the dead up and resurrect us to where we can be a better people. You know what I'm saying? Understand who Marcus Garvey was and who all of our teachers are. Claude Anderson, all of the ones that we even got today. It's Kamusa Barasango, you know what I'm saying, Dr. Henry Claw. We need to respect all of them and understand and come together as one and work together like I was trying to allude to just briefly when it came to like all these different organizations, the Kappas, the Crips, the Bloods, AKAs, you know what I'm saying, all our congressmen, sheriffs, and all that. When black people start understanding that common bond and we start working together, all these different organizations working together like organs in your body work together to keep your body functioning. Anywhere it goes, your dumb ass can still be doing all the dumb shit that you can to kill your body, but your body gonna still do the right shit to stay alive. That's the same way all these organizations need to work together like the different organs within our body for one common goal: black people's resurrection and liberation from these crackers that got us fucked up, and we'll be okay. I'll stop there because I keep going and go, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely, Black King. I knew you had something to share today, man. You probably had a more graphic version than what we shared with everybody, but that's exactly what we are speaking about, brother.
Yeah, we need all the versions to get out to the people, brother. You know what I'm saying? We might have a clean cut version, we might have one that's raw and uncut, but anyway it goes, we got to get it out to all the people, because just as well as we need that preacher, you know what I'm saying, pork chop preacher that's preaching that whatever gospel to his people, we still need to wake that brother up and get to his congregation so that we can wake them up, because we still need grandma and granddaddy and auntie and uncle to contribute to this too. You see what I'm saying? We don't need to isolate them just as well as we need them Bloods and them Crips, you know what I'm saying? Them dumb niggas need to wake up and come together so that, you know what I'm saying, that's our soldiers, that's our protection force, you know what I'm saying? They're ready to go and bust. Okay, we need you to be ready to go and bust for us, you know what I'm saying? Protect grandma and granddaddy, you know what I'm saying? Help grandma and granddaddy still do what they need to do.
Peace and blessings, brother. Peace and blessings.
For sure.
Brother, stay on the march, stay on the hunt, all of that, because all that you're speaking is real life. A lot of people don't realize Martin Luther King and Malcolm X had a coming together. A lot of people don't know.
That's why they knocked him out. That's why they knocked him out. When he went and spoke to the Elijah Mom, he been to the mountaintop and he seen it. Elijah woke him up and gave him the black economic principle that we all need. You know what I'm saying? Spend money black. When he came out and gave that speech, them crackers knew, okay, he got to go. You know what I'm saying? We can't let that nigga get out here and get to preaching black economics, because we need them niggas to give us all day money. We don't need them niggas to take their money and spend their money with each other. We need them niggas to give us their money. That's why niggas running around here with goddamn Tom Ford and Gucci and motherfucking Aston Martins and Bentley and all these racist cracker motherfuckers that don't give a fuck about us. But goddamn it, we won't support Sean John. We won't support, you know what I'm saying, Argyle culture or none of this other shit. You know what I'm saying? Niggas need to wake the fuck up and support one thing. If a nigga doing something, he doing it good, let's support that nigga and what he doing and let him be the one that's standing in the front for us. Don't try to compete with him. That's what that cracker wants you to do, because then we gonna lose everybody. Because now y'all niggas is competing and one's going this way and one's going that way. I.e., you know what I'm saying, Wallace Dean Muhammad and Farrakhan, you know what I'm saying? Them motherfuckers gonna split, and then you divided up the nation and confused a bunch of motherfuckers. When anywhere it goes, we still needed the nation to do what they was doing.
Well, how about this, brother. We just take all the cameras off of them and let them get whatever their worth is from the love that we give them for the appreciation of what they've done, and take the competition aspect out of it too.
Yeah, love your brother for what he's doing. I ain't gonna knock Martin Luther King for what he's doing. I'm gonna support him in what he's doing and try to help that brother, even though I know, you know what I'm saying, his efforts is only going so far. It's like, okay, what's that, Messy Jesse and goddamn all that voters' rights shit. Nigga, you can't tell a nigga to vote and then don't put his money behind the vote. You see what I'm saying? We voting motherfuckers in office, but these motherfuckers that's going in office ain't doing shit for us. We ain't holding them accountable. We need to be standing in front of that motherfucker house every day until that motherfucker go into the goddamn government and pass these laws and shit that we done. The state representative is the main motherfucker who we need to be voting in, and we need to be holding his ass accountable. Why? Because he lives right here with us, and goddamn it, we can watch his ass and we can put that heat on his ass to make sure he taking care of his business when he go up and speak for us. But now niggas is giving away votes for free. But they still want to holler, go vote.
And still getting killed every day, every weekend.
Every motherfucking day.
Ain't got no land. Still ain't got no laws. Ain't got no.
Nothing. We don't have we don't even have the land to feed ourselves and to feed our people. And then we need to open up farmers markets and grocery stores so that we can get that produce out to our people where we ain't got to depend on this old ass shit in Kroger. You know what I'm saying? The goddamn go bad a day after you buy it and shit, and goddamn Walmart killing everybody. You know what I'm saying? We need to get back to that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I want to start my own farm, start growing my own shit, and then another nigga start growing shit, and then you come over and holler at me, and I give you some apples, and you give me some oranges, homie. You know what I'm saying? That's how we need to go back to.
Well, brother, we need to stop talking and go ahead and put this in motion.
Yeah, I know, because they're going to shoot me. So, you know what I'm saying? We need to have this talk off the air.
I think we all can escape unscathed. We just have to work with diligence. And again, unfortunately, it has to be a scenario that has a certain amount of covertness to it. You know, point blank period. You know, and if nothing else, continue doing what we're doing, brothers. Planting the seeds.
Oh, yeah. You put it out in the universe, it's going to come back. So we need to keep putting that out there. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. It's going to come back. It might come back in our seeds. It might come back wherever it's going to come back. But we're going to keep pushing this black love and this black, you know what I'm saying, resurrection, liberation, whatever you want to call it. No, it goes. We're going to liberate our people and get our people up out this dead-ass state that we living in.
Yes, sir.
And eventually, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's some subjects like what we've touched on today that we many times want to have avoided. And that's the exact opposite of what needs to be done. We need to approach and bring those subjects up that need to be talked about that people are afraid to talk. The only way you bring attention to those subjects that are touchy and do something about them is we talk about them. Bring them up. Yeah,
and we all need to understand, just like you said, brother, that's real. That's all love, and we need to do it in a loving way. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't need to come together and with that judgmental, you know what I'm saying, whatever factor. That's what separates us. We need to understand the love within us, because, I mean, I got every denomination within my family, and anywhere it goes, you know what I'm saying, I love every last one of them. You know what I'm saying? Ignorant and all, but anywhere it goes, you know what I'm saying, I still speak to them from a place of love, not, you know what I'm saying, you ignorant as fuck and you don't know and you still eat pork and you still think Jesus is real and all that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? I can't go at them like that. I still love my peoples, and, you know what I'm saying, I teach, you know, what I can.
Because the things that has been built over the last 6,000 years are going to have to be torn down in the same structure. It takes time.
Yeah. Break them chains of psychological slavery, please.
Brother,
release them, let them go.
It's a breath of fresh air. Brother, I really appreciate your commentary and your opinion, man.
For sure, anytime.
Like I say, man, we gotta
Brothers gonna work it out.
About it and be about it. So anytime you ready to organize, to make moves, whatever time that is for us, it's gonna be on time. We just gotta keep moving.
Oh yeah, I mean, it starts with me and you, me and all the brothers right here. Because once we started, you know what I'm saying? It's like that little white boy movie, Pay It Forward, which is a very powerful movie, because you can start something that multiplies and goes out into the world. And I mean, the little white boy wasn't even here when
when
it really took root and how profound it came to be. And that's another example of how we can be. You know what I'm saying? Me and you love each other and show that brotherly love. And guess what? That's going to magnify. When you smile, the people around you smile. And that's the kind of energy we got to start showing black people and our kids and family and all that. You know what I'm saying? Your wife is my sister. Your daughter is my niece. You know what I'm saying? And I'll look out and protect her just that same way.
Until we change, nothing around us will ever change. When we change, everything around us it is law. When we change, everything around us has to change. So let's stop pretending that what is not good for us good, and let's change the inside of us so the outside of us has to move in that fashion.
So.
Black Heat, I definitely appreciate you taking time out your schedule, man. We're gonna definitely include you in next week's program, man. And brother, keep the fire blaze, man.
Yes, for sure.
Keep the fire blaze, man.
When the fire go out, I'm dead. So y'all already know. If I ain't fighting for black liberation, I'm gone. And hopefully I've left enough seeds that they fighting for me.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you once again, brother.
For sure.
All right.
Peace.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I tell you, I do know. And at the end of the day, it's going to take us. It's going to take us. I feel it's going to take us starting. It's going to take us starting. We've already began a dialogue that puts a plan on the table. Now it's us taking the first steps. Actions speak louder than words. We got to move, brother.
Because until we change, ain't nothing gonna change.
Absolutely.
Ain't nothing I can say to inspire anybody to anything that wasn't already in their spirit, their soul, their heart, their mind, and their glow. You know, so with that being said, we have to move in a motion that comes from not necessarily each one teach one, but each one move one. And the only way I'm gonna move you is by you seeing the way that I move.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
My example means more than my words. My words can be powerful. My words can be art. My words can be shaping. But
Absolutely.
My actions is what sets the table and sets dividends and brings sums into being.
Absolutely.
So let's move, man. I wrote a joint that years ago that says, "Hope no more hope." We gotta move.
Absolutely.
Hope is for those who love to starve. Hope is for those who is looking for handouts or thinking that something should be through somebody else's volition other than their own.
Mm-hmm.
When you hope, you hoping that something will change you other than yourself. Hope no more. Hope is for the wind to blow. Let's move.
Absolutely. Man, it's I when we got started, I didn't know if we was gonna have enough content to last 2 hours. That was a joke, but yeah, man, the time has rolled right on by us, and once again, man, I think we've gotten a lot of positive energy shared. I fight every day, man, to stay in a mental space that allows me to protect my energy. And I invite all of you as well to protect what's entering your spirit mind, what's entering your spirit space, and then as well what is being replicated from your spirit actions. Like you just said, Brother Mike, actions speak louder than words. It's time to go forward with movement. We're doing a lot of work. I know each and every one of us are in our homes and in our communities to make changes. But I think truthfully, if we can really explore how we can live and survive, and the physical revenue that has been placed in front of us as the Almighty is excluded, I think it would change so much, man. I think just that idealism and expounding upon that for us as a whole, man, it help us lead to a better place. I think, like the brother Black he said, like the brother Mike Cypher said as well. I think that energy helps us get to a better place overall, as a whole. But again, we are the kind of people that have got to see it in action first. As opposed, and so it's going to take some of us that don't have to see it, that know what the move should be. It's going to take some of us to actually get out here and pull our sleeves up and go forward. Guys, I know y'all probably have some final words, so let's go ahead and get those in, man.
Yeah, let me say this real quick, brother. Two things. Brother Most Def said something on one of his cuts, man, that always rings true to me. And that is when you're moving in power and energy and you're moving in the strength of being, then you have nothing to question. In other words, when you're moving in power, what do you know that moves in real power, that trips on power? Real power don't power trip. Real power is real power, and it is being what it is, no matter whether you like it or not.
Absolutely.
So the second part of that, to me, is it comes from Brother Tupac. If you can't find something to live for, you best find something to die for.
Okay.
And if that ain't for the preservation of what you bring forth, your creation, then you ain't no good no way.
Absolutely. Brother Greg?
Okay, nicely said, Mike.
Absolutely.
Nicely said. I don't necessarily or really have any final words. It's a pleasure being on the show.
Absolutely.
And meeting Mike for the first time. It's a good meeting, bro. And I look forward to speaking with you again. All right. Yeah, back with you, back at you. Likewise, and then some. But thank you, Jamal, for having me.
Oh man, we just getting started, Greg. I told you, man. It's just the beginning, man.
Yeah, that's real. That's
Absolutely.
real. Appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. So yeah, next week, same bat channel, same bat time, man. You can get us right here, Black Conscious Voices. We're going to elaborate a little more on how this narrative is changed, and we're going to come with some new stuff next week. I'm sure my man Black, he's going to want to check in via telephone. And stay tuned, man, because it's a lot going on right here, man. Live from BLD Film Studio. It's yours truly, the Cypher DJ CK, along with my brother Mike Cypher. Also my brother ATL Web Sales Greg in the building, man. Black Conscious Voices, man. Y'all keep it locked.
But it's the color of one's skin and the beauty of one's eye. So many of us talk about dark skin, light skin, what is and what ain't within, but we overlook it all for the booty. You see, the physical has no bearing on the elegance and grace of the spiritual and mental one that's inside you, that creates the only one of you that it takes millions to make. I'm talking black and light, not white, the substance of nothingness, a blank page of anger and rage, giving you the belief of death, not rest. Life is a cipher, a circle that never ends, passing by trends and fads of trends, only to come black again.